A change of heart, one family's fight against discrimination. As the Johnson family stepped into their new home, they were filled with dreams of a fresh start and a welcoming neighborhood. But their excitement quickly turned to dismay when they were met with a cold shoulder and hurtful words from a neighbor who believed their skin color defined their worth. Little did they know, this unexpected confrontation would ignite a journey of courage, compassion, and ultimately, a change of heart that would ripple through their community. The sun hung low in the sky, casting a warm golden glow over the quaint neighborhood of Maplewood. It was the kind of place where children played freely in the streets, neighbors exchanged friendly waves, and community events filled the calendar. For the Johnson family, this was the promise of a new beginning. After years of hard work and determination, they were finally moving into their dream home, a charming house with white shutters and a front porch that beckoned for lazy afternoons spent together. As the moving truck pulled into the driveway, 8-year-old Maya burst out of the car, her curly hair bouncing with every step. "Look at our new home," she exclaimed, her eyes sparkling with excitement. Behind her, her older brother, Jamal, a lanky 12-year-old with a penchant for basketball, followed closely, carrying a basketball in one hand and a stack of comic books in the other. Their parents, Marcus and Lisa, exchanged proud smiles as they stepped out of the car, taking in the sight of their children's enthusiasm. Marcus, a devoted father with a warm, easygoing demeanor, had always dreamed of raising his family in a neighborhood where they could thrive, surrounded by friendly faces and the promise of opportunity. Lisa, a compassionate and hardworking nurse, shared that dream. Together, they had spent countless hours searching for the perfect home, saving every penny to make it a reality. This was not just a house to them. It was a symbol of hope, resilience, and a brighter future. As the family unloaded boxes and furniture, laughter filled the air. "Who gets the biggest room?" Maya asked, her hands on her hips, a playful grin on her face. "I do. I called it first." Jamal shot back, a mischievous twinkle in his eye. Their playful banter was a familiar sound, one that brought comfort and warmth to their new surroundings. Okay, let's not fight about rooms just yet," Lisa interjected, a hint of laughter in her voice. "Why don't we take a break and explore the neighborhood? We can find the park and see if there are any kids around to play with." Maya's eyes lit up at the mention of a park. "Yes, let's go," she cheered, darting toward the front door. Jamal shrugged off his sibling rivalry, deciding that exploring was far more interesting than arguing about bedroom space. As they set out on foot, the Johnsons walked hand in hand down the tree-lined streets, taking in the sights and sounds of their new neighborhood. It was a picturesque community, with blooming gardens and children laughing as they rode their bikes. However, beneath the idyllic surface lay a complex tapestry of lives woven together by shared experiences and, unbeknownst to the Johnsons, underlying tensions. They soon reached Maplewood Park, a vibrant place filled with laughter and the echoes of playful chatter. Children swung on swings, their joyful squeals echoing against the backdrop of the setting sun. Marcus and Lisa smiled at each other, relieved to see their children's faces light up with excitement. This was the life they had envisioned for their family. "Look, Mom, can I go on the swings?" Maya asked, bouncing on her feet. "Of course, sweetheart," Lisa replied, watching as Maya sprinted toward the swings. Jamal, ever the protective big brother, followed closely behind, ensuring his sister's safety. As they settled in to enjoy the afternoon, Lisa noticed a group of parents chatting nearby. She approached them, her friendly demeanor shining through. "Hi there, we just moved in down the street. I'm Lisa, and this is my husband, Marcus," she introduced, gesturing to Marcus, who had just taken a seat on a nearby bench. "Welcome to the neighborhood," one of the parents replied warmly, a mother named Carol with a friendly smile. "I'm glad to see more families moving in. This community really values its kids." As they conversed, Lisa felt a flicker of excitement about the friendships that might blossom in this new chapter of their lives. However, the conversation soon shifted as Carol began to share stories about the neighborhood. "We've had some issues with new families moving in lately," Carol mentioned, her tone shifting slightly. Some of the old-timers aren't as open to change as they should be. But don't let that discourage you. Most of us are welcoming. Lisa smiled politely, but her heart sank slightly at the undertone of concern in Carol's voice. She had heard whispers of tensions in neighborhoods like this, where change could be met with resistance. Still, she remained hopeful, determined to create a sense of belonging for her family. Meanwhile, Jamal and Maya were lost in their own world, swinging high and racing against one another. "I bet I can swing higher than you," Maya challenged, her laughter ringing through the air. "Not a chance," Jamal shouted back, pushing himself harder. A competitive fire igniting within him, the evening wore on, filled with laughter, friendly banter, and the promise of new beginnings. As the sun dipped below the horizon, painting the sky in hues of pink and orange, the Johnson family headed home, hearts full of hope and dreams for the future. But little did they know that the idyllic life they envisioned would soon be challenged in ways they never expected. The neighbor who had greeted them with a chilly reception would soon make their presence felt, and the Johnsons would find themselves facing discrimination head-on. As the days turned into weeks, the Johnson family settled into their new routines, attending school events, exploring the local community center, and even joining the neighborhood watch. However, subtle hints of discrimination began to emerge. At the local grocery store, they noticed the wary glances and whispered conversations. One day, as Maya and Jamal were picking out snacks, a woman nearby clutched her purse tighter and moved away as they approached. Jamal, sensing the tension, shot his sister a look that said, "Did you see that?" Maya, too young to fully understand, shrugged it off, her focus on the colorful packages of candy. "Let's grab some chips and head home, okay?" Jamal suggested, trying to lighten the mood. But even as they walked to the checkout, a heavy weight settled on their shoulders. At school, things were no different. Maya, eager to make friends, approached a group of kids playing at recess. "Can I play too?" she asked, her bright smile shining through. But the response was less than welcoming. "Sorry, but we're playing a game for just the cool kids," one girl replied, her voice dismissive. Maya's heart sank as she turned away, feeling the sting of rejection for the first time. As the weeks went by, the Johnsons encountered more instances of discrimination. Marcus and Lisa began to worry about their children, the weight of their new reality pressing heavily on their hearts. "Maybe we should talk to the school about this," Lisa suggested one evening as they sat at the dinner table, the conversation taking a serious turn. "Maya is so upset about her classmates. I can't bear to see her hurt like this." Marcus nodded, his brow furrowed in concern. "I agree. We can't let this continue. Our kids deserve to feel safe and accepted in their own community." Determined to protect their family, the Johnsons began to navigate the complexities of their new lives, facing challenges they never anticipated. But through it all, their bond grew stronger, and their resolve deepened. They were determined to fight back against the discrimination they faced, not only for themselves but for others in the community who felt marginalized. As they gathered their strength, the Johnson family found support in unexpected places. They discovered a local community organization dedicated to promoting diversity and inclusion. Attending their meetings became a source of empowerment, where they met others who shared similar stories of resilience and hope. With newfound courage, the Johnsons decided to take action. They would host a community event aimed at bringing people together, fostering understanding and acceptance. They envisioned a gathering where neighbors could share their stories, celebrate their differences, and unite against discrimination. As they brainstormed ideas, excitement filled their home. Maya and Jamal eagerly helped with planning, envisioning games, music, and activities that would bring everyone together. They felt the weight of their experiences transforming into a catalyst for change. The Johnson family was ready to face the challenges ahead, armed with their love for one another and the belief that change was possible. Little did they know that their journey would not only impact their lives, but also touch the hearts of others in their community, paving the way for a powerful change of heart. The morning sun streamed through the kitchen window, casting a warm glow over the Johnson household as Lisa flipped pancakes, the aroma filling the air with comfort. The family was settling into their new routine, and the excitement of their recent move still buzzed in the air. Jamal was already at the table, engrossed in his comic books, while Maya enthusiastically recounted her plans for the day. "Mom, can I go to the park after school? I want to make more friends." Maya beamed, her eyes wide with hope. "Of course, sweetheart. Just remember to be yourself and have fun," Lisa replied, smiling at her daughter's infectious enthusiasm. As they finished breakfast, Marcus entered the kitchen, still in his work clothes, ready to tackle the day. "What's the plan for today?" he asked, grabbing a cup of coffee. "Just the usual. Maya wants to hit the park, and I'll take her to the community center afterward," Lisa said, glancing at her daughter. "Maybe we can even find some local events to join." Jamal, still focused on his comic, chimed in, "I heard there's a basketball game at the park later. Can I join?" "Absolutely. Just be careful and keep an eye on your sister," Marcus said with a chuckle. With their plans set, the family went about their day, unaware that the ease of their morning would soon be shattered by an encounter that would test their resilience. After school, Maya and Jamal walked to Maplewood Park, excitement bubbling between them. The sun hung high in the sky, and the park was filled with children playing and families enjoying the beautiful weather. Maya spotted a group of kids near the swings and darted over, while Jamal opted to shoot some hoops nearby. "Hey, can I play?" Maya asked, her heart racing with anticipation. The kids looked at her, their expressions a mix of curiosity and hesitation. One girl, a blonde with pigtails, stepped forward. We're playing a game for just us. You can't join," she said, her voice cold. Maya's face fell, confusion flooding her. "But I just want to have fun," she said softly, her voice barely above a whisper. The other children nodded in agreement, their laughter fading as they turned away from her. "Sorry, maybe next time," one of the boys said, not meeting her gaze. Feeling hurt, Maya walked away, her heart heavy with disappointment. She found Jamal by the basketball court, practicing his shots. "They didn't let me play," she said, her voice shaking slightly. "What? Why not?" Jamal asked, concern etched on his face. "I don't know. They just said I couldn't," Maya replied, fighting back tears. Jamal put his arm around her shoulder, feeling the weight of the rejection. "It's okay, Maya. Let's find another game or something." As the sun began to set, casting long shadows across the park, the Johnsons headed home, Maya's spirits still low. "Did you have fun?" Lisa asked as they walked in. Maya hesitated, glancing at Jamal for support. "Not really. Some kids didn't want to play with me," she said, her voice barely above a whisper. Lisa's heart sank. "I'm so sorry, sweetie. Sometimes kids can be, well, they can be mean without realizing it. It doesn't define you, though," she reassured her, kneeling to Maya's level. "You are amazing just as you are." Jamal nodded in agreement. "Yeah, Maya, we'll find other kids to play with. Don't let them get you down," he said, trying to lift her spirits. That evening, as the family gathered around the dinner table, the atmosphere was a mix of warmth and unspoken tension. Lisa and Marcus exchanged concerned glances, both aware that their children were grappling with the harsh realities of prejudice. "Let's talk about how school went today," Marcus said, trying to steer the conversation. "Did you meet any new friends?" "Not really," Maya replied, her voice small. "Some kids at the park didn't want to play with me." "Why not?" Marcus asked, gently probing. "They said they only wanted to play with their friends," Jamal chimed in, frustration evident in his tone. "It wasn't fair." Lisa took a deep breath, her heart aching for her children. "I know it's tough, but remember that not everyone will be welcoming. Sometimes it takes time for people to open their hearts and minds," she explained. "But why? Why can't they just see that we're nice?" Maya asked, her innocence shining through her words. "People have different experiences, and sometimes those experiences make them afraid or closed off," Marcus replied. "We just have to keep being kind, no matter what." The conversation lingered in the air long after the plates were cleared. As the family settled down for the night, the heaviness of their reality weighed on them. They were not just facing the challenges of a new neighborhood. They were confronting the unsettling truth of discrimination. The next day, the Johnsons decided to venture to the local grocery store. It was a place they hoped would be a welcoming hub for the community, a chance to meet neighbors and find familiar faces. However, as they entered the store, the atmosphere shifted. Marcus pushed the cart down the aisle, and Lisa walked alongside him, reading off the shopping list. Maya skipped ahead, her eyes wide with wonder at the colorful displays. Jamal trailed behind, absorbed in his phone, looking up occasionally to check on his sister. As they approached the produce section, they noticed a woman, slightly older than Lisa, glaring at them from a distance. She clutched her shopping basket tightly, her expression unreadable. As the family approached, the woman stepped back, her eyes narrowing. "Excuse me, can I help you with something?" the woman asked sharply, her tone defensive. Maya looked confused, her innocent face betraying no understanding of the underlying tension. "We're just shopping," she said, her voice bright but uncertain. The woman's gaze flickered to Lisa, her expression hardening. "You don't belong here. This is a nice neighborhood," she said, her words dripping with disdain. "Excuse me?" Lisa replied, taken aback. "We just moved in. We're part of this community now." The woman's eyes narrowed further, dismissive. "I don't think you understand how things work around here," she said, her voice cold. Marcus felt a surge of anger, but he held back, unwilling to escalate the situation in front of his children. "We're just trying to shop like everyone else," he said, trying to remain calm. Without a word, the woman turned on her heel and walked away, leaving the Johnson family in stunned silence. The harshness of her words hung in the air like a dark cloud, casting a shadow over their shopping trip. "What just happened?" Maya asked, her voice trembling. "It's okay, sweetheart," Lisa replied, kneeling beside her daughter. "Some people don't know how to treat others, and they let their fears get the best of them." Jamal clenched his fists, a mix of anger and confusion boiling inside him. "Why do people act like that? It's not fair. Life isn't always fair, but we have to rise above it," Marcus said, his voice steady but tinged with frustration. "We can't let her words define who we are." As they left the store, the weight of the encounter settled on them. The warmth and excitement they had felt just days before seemed distant, overshadowed by the stark reality of prejudice. Over the next few weeks, incidents like that became more frequent. At the local community center, they overheard whispers and sideways glances from some members, who seemed wary of their presence. One afternoon, as the family attended a community meeting, Lisa stood up to introduce themselves. "Hi, I'm Lisa Johnson, and this is my husband Marcus and our children, Maya and Jamal. We're new to the neighborhood and excited to be here," she said, her voice warm but confident. However, a man in the back of the room scoffed, his voice cutting through the atmosphere. "We don't need any more outsiders around here." The comment sent a wave of discomfort through the room. Lisa's heart raced, and she exchanged worried glances with Marcus. "We just want to be part of the community and contribute positively," she replied, her voice steady despite her unease. But the man shook his head dismissively. "This neighborhood is for those who have been here for generations. You don't understand our ways." Marcus felt a surge of protectiveness for his family. "We may be new, but we're here to build connections, not to disrupt anything," he said firmly. The tension in the room was palpable, and Maya and Jamal sat in silence, absorbing the harsh words and the implications behind them. After the meeting, the family left feeling defeated. "Why do people have to be like that?" Maya asked, her eyes wide with confusion. "It's hard to understand, sweetie," Lisa replied, her heart heavy. "Sometimes people are afraid of change, and they react out of that fear." As they drove home, Jamal looked out the window, watching the world pass by. "I don't want to feel like this anymore," he said quietly. "It's not fair that we can't just be ourselves." "It's not," Marcus agreed, his voice filled with a mixture of anger and sadness. "But we have to stay strong and show them who we are, no matter how they treat us." The days turned into weeks, and the Johnson family tried to focus on the positives. They explored their new neighborhood, took part in community events, and made an effort to connect with those willing to welcome them. Yet, the discrimination lingered, often leaving them feeling like outsiders in a place they wanted to call home. One weekend, they attended a local festival, hoping to immerse themselves in the community spirit. The atmosphere was vibrant, filled with laughter, food stalls, and music. Maya and Jamal dashed off to join other kids at a bounce house, their laughter ringing through the air. But as Lisa and Marcus wandered through the crowd, they overheard a group of women gossiping nearby. "Did you see that family? They don't belong here. It's like they just moved in without asking anyone," one woman said, her voice dripping with disdain. Marcus clenched his jaw, anger rising within him. "Let's not let them ruin our day," Lisa said softly, trying to calm him. As the festival continued, they tried to enjoy the moment, but the weight of the discrimination lingered like a dark cloud overhead. They watched as families mingled, feeling the invisible barriers that separated them from the warmth of acceptance. That night, as the family gathered for dinner, the atmosphere was somber. "Why do we have to deal with this?" Jamal asked, frustration evident in his tone. "Can't people just see that we're nice?" "People have their own struggles and fears, but that doesn't make it right," Marcus replied. "We have to stay true to ourselves and keep pushing forward. We can't let them win." Maya nodded, her spirit wavering but still hopeful. "Maybe if we keep being nice, they'll see we're good people." Lisa smiled at her daughter, her heart swelling with pride. "Exactly, Maya. We will keep showing them who we are, no matter what." As the weeks went on, the Johnsons faced continued challenges, but they remained steadfast in their determination. They leaned on each other for support, sharing their experiences and finding strength in their unity. Through the pain and frustration of discrimination, they learned valuable lessons about resilience, love, and the importance of community. They began to find small pockets of acceptance, meeting kind-hearted neighbors who welcomed them with open arms. While the encounters with prejudice were painful, they also sparked a fire within the Johnson family, a desire to advocate for change and bridge the divide that had kept them at arm's length from others. In time, they began to realize that the fight against discrimination wasn't just about them. It was about fostering understanding and empathy within their community. With each challenge, they grew stronger, more determined to make a difference. The sun dipped below the horizon, casting a warm orange glow across the Johnson home. Yet inside, the atmosphere felt heavy after another day filled with encounters that felt more isolating than welcoming. The family gathered in the living room, a space that had become their sanctuary amid the storms of discrimination. Maya curled up on the couch, her knees tucked under her chin, as she flipped through a magazine filled with cheerful images of kids playing and families laughing. She had been so excited about this move, so hopeful about making new friends. Yet, time and time again, she found herself facing the harsh reality that not everyone shared her excitement. "Why does it feel like no one wants to play with me?" she asked, her voice barely above a whisper, tinged with the sadness that had started to shadow her once bright spirit. Marcus, sitting across from her, glanced at Lisa before responding. "Sometimes, people are afraid of what they don't know, and that fear can make them act in ways that hurt others," he said, trying to convey understanding while holding back his own frustration. "It's not fair," Jamal exclaimed, his fists clenched in anger. "We're just trying to be a part of this community, and they treat us like we're not welcome. Why can't they just see that we're normal?" Lisa sighed, her heart aching for her children. "I know it's hard. It's not right, and it's okay to feel upset about it. We're all feeling this way," she said, her voice soothing as she leaned closer to them. "But we have to remember who we are. We can't let their negativity define us." "But what do we do about it?" Maya asked, her innocent eyes searching for answers. "Do we just ignore them?" "We can't ignore it," Jamal insisted. "We have to stand up for ourselves. We can't just let them treat us like this." Marcus nodded. "You're right. We can't ignore it, but we have to find a way to respond that keeps us safe and maintains our dignity. We can't fight hate with hate." The room fell into a contemplative silence as the family processed the weight of their struggles. They each reflected on their experiences, grappling with the emotions that had begun to surface. Maya broke the silence, her voice trembling slightly. "I don't want to feel scared to go to the park or the store anymore. I want to feel like I belong, We all do, sweetheart, Lisa replied gently. Belonging is a basic human desire, but sometimes it takes time for people to understand and accept us. We have to keep being ourselves. Maybe we should talk to the neighbors, Jamal suggested. Invite them over for dinner or something. Show them we're normal. That's a great idea, Marcus said, a spark of hope lighting up his expression. We can invite them to join us for a barbecue next weekend. Could be a way to break down some barriers. Lisa smiled, appreciating her husband's proactive approach. We'll make it a fun day, filled with good food and laughter. Sometimes, sharing a meal can create connections where there were none before. As they planned the barbecue, the mood in the room shifted. The act of taking control, of making a plan, provided a glimmer of hope amidst their struggle. They discussed recipes, made lists, and even planned some fun games to engage their potential guests. In the days leading up to the barbecue, the Johnson family worked hard to prepare. They spent time in the kitchen, laughing as they made burgers, grilled vegetables, and a colorful salad. Maya and Jamal eagerly joined in, their laughter echoing through the house as they mixed and stirred. But as the day approached, doubts crept in. What if they don't come? Maya asked, her excitement waning. They'll come, Jamal said confidently. They just need to see we're not what they think we are. Lisa and Marcus shared a glance, recognizing the worry reflected in their children's faces. Even if some people don't show up, the ones who do will help us build connections, Marcus reassured them. It's about taking that step forward, no matter how small. The day of the barbecue arrived, and the Johnsons transformed their backyard into a welcoming space filled with colorful decorations and enticing smells. The sun shone brightly, and a gentle breeze rustled through the trees, creating an atmosphere of warmth and hope. As the time for their neighbors to arrive drew closer, nerves fluttered in the pit of Lisa's stomach. She and Marcus set up the grill, their hearts racing with anticipation and uncertainty. Do you think anyone will show? Lisa asked, glancing at the clock. They will, Marcus replied, his voice steady. Just remember, we're here to show them who we are and that we're good people. Maya and Jamal busied themselves with the games, setting up cornhole and a giant Jenga tower, their excitement bubbling over. This is going to be fun, Maya exclaimed, trying to mask her own apprehension. As the clock struck 3, they heard the first knock at the door. Lisa's heart skipped a beat as she exchanged a quick glance with Marcus. Here we go, he said, encouraging her with a nod. Marcus opened the door to find a couple from down the street, smiling nervously. Hi, we heard about the barbecue and thought we'd stop by, the woman said, her tone friendly but cautious. Welcome. We're so glad you could make it, Lisa exclaimed, relief washing over her as she welcomed them inside. As the guests trickled in, the Johnsons found themselves surrounded by a mix of familiar and unfamiliar faces. At first, the atmosphere felt tense, filled with small talk and awkward laughter. But as the food was served and the games began, barriers started to break down. Jamal challenged the neighbor's son to a game of basketball, and Maya led a group of children in a spirited game of tag. The initial hesitation slowly melted away, replaced by laughter and friendly competition. Lisa and Marcus moved around the yard, engaging with their guests and sharing stories about their family. We're really excited to be here, Lisa said to one neighbor. We've faced some challenges, but we believe in creating connections. One woman, sitting at the patio table, nodded in understanding. I can imagine. Change can be hard for some people. It's not an excuse, but it's reality, she said. As the day progressed, laughter filled the air, and the Johnson family felt a growing sense of acceptance. They shared food, games, and stories, finding common ground amid their differences. As dusk settled, the warm glow of string lights illuminated the backyard, creating a magical atmosphere. The conversation flowed easily, and the initial barriers of prejudice began to dissolve. Just as Lisa was serving dessert, the door swung open, and a familiar face walked in, the woman from the grocery store. Lisa felt her heart race, a mix of apprehension and determination coursing through her. Is this where the party is? The woman asked, her tone light, but Lisa sensed an underlying tension. "Yes, we're just getting to dessert," Lisa replied, forcing a smile. "You're welcome to join us." The woman hesitated for a moment before stepping further into the yard, her gaze darting around at the mingling families. I'm sorry for how I acted at the store. I was having a bad day and took it out on you," she said, her voice softer than before. Marcus stepped forward, sensing the opportunity for reconciliation. "Thank you for coming and for acknowledging that. We're just trying to get to know our new neighbors." The woman nodded, her expression shifting as she looked at Maya and Jamal, who were happily enjoying dessert. "I can see that now. You seem like a lovely family," she admitted, her tone warming. With that small admission, a connection began to form. The other guests noticed the shift, and conversations resumed, buoyed by a newfound understanding. As the evening wound down, the Johnson family stood together, grateful for the day's unexpected turns. "I can't believe how much fun we had," Maya exclaimed, her eyes sparkling with joy. "It felt like everyone was finally connecting," Jamal added, his earlier frustration melting away. Lisa wrapped her arms around her children, feeling a swell of pride. "Today was a step forward. We showed them who we are, and we opened up a door for understanding," she said, her voice filled with hope. Marcus nodded, his heart full as he watched his family thrive. "This is just the beginning. It won't always be easy, but we're stronger together. We'll keep pushing for acceptance and understanding." As they cleaned up the remnants of the barbecue, the Johnson family felt a renewed sense of purpose. They realized that while they couldn't change everyone's hearts overnight, they had taken an essential step toward building connections in their community. The struggle against discrimination would continue, but together, they were ready to face whatever challenges lay ahead. They would rise above the hate, fueled by their love for each other and their unwavering commitment to create a place where they truly belonged. With the stars twinkling overhead and the warmth of the evening lingering in their hearts, the Johnson family moved forward, united and resilient, ready to embrace whatever came next. In the weeks following their barbecue, the Johnson family began to feel a shift in their neighborhood. The initial wave of tension and uncertainty started to fade, replaced by tentative friendships and budding alliances. With each passing day, they found themselves embracing the warmth of community, discovering that they were not alone in their struggles. One Saturday afternoon, while Marcus was mowing the lawn, he noticed a figure walking towards him. It was Mrs. Patel, the elderly woman from 2 doors down, carrying a basket filled with freshly baked cookies. "Hello, dear," she called out, a wide smile spreading across her face. "I thought I'd stop by and see how you and your lovely family are doing." Marcus wiped the sweat from his brow, returning her smile. "We're doing well, Mrs. Patel. Just trying to get settled in. How about you?" "Oh, you know how it is. Keeping busy. But I wanted to bring you these cookies as a small gesture of friendship," she said, handing him the basket. "It's always nice to have good neighbors, don't you think?" "Absolutely. Thank you so much," Marcus replied, his heart swelling with gratitude. As he accepted the warm cookies, he felt a connection with Mrs. Patel that he hadn't anticipated. She had lived in the neighborhood for decades and knew its ups and downs better than anyone. "You've always been such a friendly face in our community," he continued. "We appreciate your kindness." Mrs. Patel leaned closer, her expression turning serious. "I know that it can be tough for families like yours. I've seen it before, and it breaks my heart. But you should know you have allies here. Many of us have faced our own battles, and we stand with you." "Thank you for saying that," Marcus said, touched by her words. "It means a lot to us. We just want to be accepted and find our place here." Mrs. Patel nodded knowingly. "It takes time, but remember, there are many in this community who want to help. We just need to keep reaching out." As the sun began to set, casting a golden hue over the neighborhood, Marcus found himself feeling a renewed sense of hope. Mrs. Patel's visit had ignited something within him, a desire to foster connections with others who had faced similar struggles. That evening, as the family gathered for dinner, Marcus shared his encounter with Mrs. Patel, sparking a conversation about the importance of community support. She reminded me that we're not alone in this fight. There are people who understand what we're going through, he said, looking at Lisa, Maya, and Jamal. That's great, Jamal exclaimed. Maybe we can start reaching out to others who have faced discrimination. Could help us find more friends and allies. Lisa smiled, her heart warmed by their optimism. That sounds like a wonderful idea. We can create a support network, even if it starts small. The next day, inspired by their conversation, Lisa decided to visit the local community center. She hoped to find resources and connections to others who shared similar experiences. As she walked through the doors, she was greeted by the friendly faces of staff and volunteers who made it clear that the center was a hub of support. Hi there, how can I help you today? A young woman with bright eyes asked as Lisa entered. I'm Lisa Johnson. My family just moved to the neighborhood, and we've faced some challenges settling in. I'm looking to connect with others who might share similar experiences, she explained. The woman's expression softened, and she nodded empathetically. We have several programs and support groups here that focus on community and inclusion. Would you like to join one of our upcoming meetings? Lisa felt a spark of hope. Yes, I'd love that. Anything to help us feel more connected would be wonderful. As Lisa signed up for a community support group, she learned about various initiatives aimed at fostering understanding and acceptance among diverse populations. She was introduced to a group of women who had all faced discrimination in one form or another, and she felt a surge of relief knowing she wouldn't have to navigate these challenges alone. In the following weeks, the Johnsons attended community events, where they met people from all walks of life, families who shared their stories of resilience and perseverance. Among them was a young couple, Sarah and David, who had recently moved to the area. They had faced similar prejudices and were eager to create a more inclusive community. Welcome to the neighborhood. Sarah greeted them warmly at a picnic in the park. We've heard about your barbecue. It was great to see people coming together. Thanks. It was a bit of a leap for us, but we're glad we did it, Lisa replied, her heart feeling lighter with each interaction. David chimed in, we've been here for a year, and it's been a journey. But we've met some amazing people along the way. It helps to have support. The Johnsons quickly became friends with Sarah and David, bonding over their shared experiences. They spent hours discussing the challenges of navigating a new community, forming a deep connection rooted in empathy and understanding. As time went on, the Johnson family found themselves surrounded by a network of support. They met other families, like the Rodriguez family, who had faced similar discrimination when they moved in a few years prior. They shared stories over coffee, forming a bond that transcended their individual struggles. The more they engaged with the community, the more they realized that the path to acceptance was not just about standing alone against adversity, but about building bridges with others who understood their pain. During one particularly meaningful gathering at the community center, they learned about an upcoming event aimed at promoting unity among neighbors. The organizers planned a cultural day, encouraging families to share their heritage and traditions. The Johnsons felt excited about participating and contributing their culture to the event. This could be a great opportunity to showcase who we are and invite everyone to experience our traditions, Marcus suggested during a family meeting. I love that idea, Maya chimed in. We can share our favorite recipes and even teach them some of our favorite games. With their hearts set on making the event a success, the Johnsons poured their energy into preparations. They collaborated with Sarah, David, and the Rodriguez family, excitedly sharing their stories and planning how they could showcase their heritage. As the day of the cultural day arrived, the atmosphere buzzed with excitement. Families from all backgrounds came together, setting up booths filled with food, art, and cultural displays. The Johnsons set up a table adorned with vibrant colors, showcasing traditional dishes and inviting people to learn more about their culture. As the crowd gathered, Lisa felt a wave of pride wash over her. This event was a celebration of diversity, and she could see the community coming together to support one another. Welcome to our booth, Jamal called out enthusiastically, offering samples of their favorite dishes. We made these recipes from our family. People wandered over, curious and eager to engage. The Johnsons shared their stories, and with each interaction, They felt the invisible barriers of prejudice slowly crumbling. A woman approached, her eyes wide with curiosity. "I've never had this before." "What's it called?" she asked, pointing to a colorful dish. "That's jollof rice. It's a special dish in our culture. Would you like to try it?" Lisa responded, her heart swelling with joy as she watched her children engage with their new neighbors. As the day continued, the atmosphere grew warm and inviting. Families shared their experiences, learning about one another's cultures, and the Johnsons felt the power of community support wrap around them like a comforting blanket. They found solidarity in the stories of others, those who had faced similar struggles and who were now united in their mission for acceptance. Each laugh, each shared experience became a thread in the tapestry of understanding they were weaving together. Towards the end of the event, Marcus stepped up to speak, feeling a surge of gratitude for the community that had embraced them. "Thank you all for being here today. When we first moved in, we faced challenges that felt overwhelming. But through your kindness and support, we've found a place where we belong." This event reminds us that our differences make us stronger, and together, we can build a better community for everyone. His heartfelt words resonated with the crowd, and as he spoke, Lisa felt the energy shift, an undeniable sense of unity that filled the air. She could see people nodding in agreement, their eyes filled with understanding and compassion. As the day came to a close, the Johnsons stood hand in hand, feeling a profound sense of belonging. They had faced their struggles, but through community support, they had transformed their pain into a celebration of resilience. Returning home that evening, the family felt lighter, their hearts full. They realized that their fight against discrimination was not just theirs alone. It was a collective effort that involved everyone willing to stand together in solidarity. "We did it," Maya whispered, her voice filled with awe. "I feel like we finally belong." "Yes," Jamal added, a grin stretching across his face. "Today was amazing." Lisa and Marcus exchanged proud smiles, knowing they had taken significant steps toward building a future filled with hope and connection. They had found their allies, their community, and the strength to continue their journey together. As they settled in for the night, the Johnson family reflected on the day's events, feeling grateful for the bonds they had formed. They had discovered that community support was not just about receiving help. It was about giving back, fostering understanding, and creating a space where everyone could thrive. In the heart of their new neighborhood, the Johnsons knew they had forged connections that would last a lifetime. Connections that would help them face any adversity together, united in the fight for acceptance and equality. As the sun rose over the Johnson household one crisp morning, Lisa felt a sense of determination blossoming within her. The weeks of support from their neighbors had sparked an idea, an opportunity for the Johnson family to take a stand against the discrimination they had faced since moving into the neighborhood. Inspired by their experiences, they could no longer remain silent. After a family breakfast filled with animated chatter and laughter, Lisa broached the subject with Marcus, Maya, and Jamal. "What if we organized a community event? Something that promotes diversity and inclusion," she suggested, her heart racing at the thought. "What do you mean?" Marcus asked, intrigued. "I'm talking about a day where everyone can come together, celebrate our differences, and show that we're united against discrimination," Lisa explained, her excitement building. "We could invite families to share their cultures, food, and stories. It could help foster understanding and acceptance." Maya's eyes lit up. "That sounds amazing. We can have music, games, and even a talent show." Jamal chimed in, "Yeah, we can ask other families to share their traditions too. It'll be fun and educational." Encouraged by their enthusiasm, Lisa continued, "Let's brainstorm how we can make this happen. If we can gather enough support, we can create a powerful message for the community." That afternoon, the Johnson family sat down together, mapping out their plans. They began drafting a list of activities, potential locations, and outreach strategies. They envisioned a day filled with laughter, connection, and the powerful message that love and acceptance could triumph over hate. Their first step was to reach out to the community center where Lisa had previously attended the support group. They met with Sarah and David, who had already become friends and allies. Excitedly, they shared their vision for the event. "This is a fantastic idea," Sarah exclaimed. "I'd love to help out. We can create flyers and spread the word on social media." David nodded, his eyes shining with enthusiasm. "Count us in. We can also ask some local businesses to sponsor or participate in the event." As the days turned into weeks, the Johnson family worked tirelessly to turn their vision into reality. They created colorful flyers highlighting the event, which they distributed around the neighborhood and posted on social media. Their efforts began to pay off as families began expressing interest in joining the celebration. One evening, while they were putting together the final touches for their event, Marcus spoke up. "What if we invite a local speaker to share their experiences with discrimination? Hearing someone's story could really resonate with our audience." "That's a great idea," Lisa agreed. "We could reach out to local activists or community leaders who focus on diversity and inclusion." With renewed energy, they contacted several local figures, explaining their vision for the event and asking if they would be willing to share their stories. Much to their delight, they received positive responses, including a well-respected local activist named Maya Chun, who had dedicated her life to fighting for equality. As the event date approached, excitement filled the air. Families were eager to contribute, volunteering to set up booths, prepare food, and organize activities. The Johnsons found themselves at the heart of a movement that was greater than any of them had imagined. Finally, the day of the event arrived. The park was buzzing with anticipation as colorful banners fluttered in the breeze, each displaying messages of unity and acceptance. Families began to gather, filling the space with laughter, chatter, and the delicious aroma of diverse cuisines. As the event kicked off, Lisa stood at the front of the gathering, her heart pounding with excitement. "Welcome, everyone. Thank you for being here today. This event is about celebrating our diversity and standing together against discrimination. We believe that love and understanding can triumph over hate." The crowd erupted into applause, a chorus of cheers and supportive voices ringing out. The Johnsons had transformed their pain into a celebration of resilience and hope. Throughout the day, the park came alive with various activities. Children played games that showcased cultural traditions, while adults shared stories that spanned generations. The air was filled with the sounds of laughter, music, and the aroma of food from around the world. Jollof rice, tamales, falafel, and more. As families explored the booths, they engaged in conversations about their cultures, breaking down barriers that had once seemed insurmountable. The Johnsons took turns sharing their own experiences, encouraging others to do the same. Then it was time for the guest speakers to take the stage. Maya Chan stepped up, her presence commanding the crowd's attention. She began sharing her journey, detailing her experiences with discrimination and her fight for equality. Discrimination is a challenge many of us face, but it's important to remember that we are not alone. When we come together as a community, we can make a difference, she said, her voice steady and powerful. Let today be a reminder that our strength lies in our unity. As she spoke, the crowd listened intently, nodding in agreement and occasionally erupting in applause. Her words resonated deeply, igniting a fire in everyone's hearts. The event was more than just a celebration. It was a rallying cry for change. After her speech, the event continued with a talent show, featuring performances from families showcasing their cultural heritage. From traditional dances to heartfelt songs, each act brought a piece of their identity to the stage. The Johnsons were proud to participate, sharing a dance that symbolized their family's love and unity. As the sun began to set, casting a warm glow over the park, Lisa gathered everyone together for one last message. Thank you all for joining us today and for showing that love and acceptance can overcome discrimination. Let's carry this spirit of unity beyond today. Together, we can create a community where everyone feels welcome and valued. With those words, the crowd erupted into cheers, the sound of hope echoing through the park. As the event concluded, the Johnson family felt a deep sense of accomplishment. They had taken a stand against the discrimination they had faced and had brought the community together to promote understanding and acceptance. In the weeks that followed, the impact of the event rippled through the neighborhood. Families who had once felt isolated began forming friendships and connections, fostering a newfound spirit of inclusivity. The Johnsons had ignited a flame of change, proving that standing together could make a difference. As Lisa reflected on the event, she realized that the Johnson family had not only found their place in the community, but had also become advocates for change. Their courage and determination had inspired others, showcasing the power of unity in the face of adversity. The Johnsons understood that their fight against discrimination was far from over, but they now had a community of allies standing with them. They had turned their pain into purpose, and together, they were committed to creating a brighter, more inclusive future for everyone. As the sun hung low in the sky, casting a warm, golden hue over the community event, a palpable sense of joy and unity filled the air. Laughter echoed from every corner of the park, and the vibrant colors of decorations reflected the rich tapestry of cultures that had gathered together. The Johnson family, buoyed by the success of the day, reveled in the connection that had blossomed among their neighbors. However, in the midst of this celebration, a shadow loomed. A familiar figure stood at the edge of the crowd. It was Henry Thompson, the neighbor who had made the derogatory remarks against the Johnson family when they first moved in. He crossed his arms, watching from a distance, a scowl etched on his face. His discontent contrasted sharply with the joyous atmosphere surrounding him. As Lisa led the next segment of the event, a round of personal storytelling, she encouraged community members to share their experiences. One by one, families stepped forward, recounting stories of resilience, hope, and overcoming prejudice. The air was thick with emotion as each tale revealed the struggles and triumphs that defined their lives. A young woman named Aisha, her voice trembling with emotion, took center stage. "I grew up in a neighborhood where I often felt out of place," she began, her words pulling the crowd's attention. "But when I faced discrimination, it was my friends and family who stood by me. They taught me that I am worthy, that my identity is something to celebrate, not hide." As Aisha shared her story, Henry shifted uneasily. His arms, once crossed in defiance, began to drop to his sides. The vulnerability in her voice resonated with something deep within him, a nagging doubt about the beliefs he had held so tightly. Next, an older gentleman named Mr. Patel shared his experience. "When I moved to this country, I faced harsh words and exclusion. But it was the kindness of my neighbors that helped me find my way," he explained, his voice steady and filled with sincerity. "We must remember that our differences are what make us stronger. Together, we can build a community where everyone belongs." Henry's gaze softened as he listened. Each story seemed to peel away the layers of bitterness that had clouded his perspective. He had spent so long viewing the world through a narrow lens, one that had only brought him isolation and conflict. Suddenly, a small voice broke through the crowd. Maya, Lisa's daughter. She had been watching intently from the sidelines, her heart full of hope. With courage, she stepped forward, clutching a piece of paper in her small hands. "I want to share my story too," she said, her voice quivering with a mix of excitement and nervousness. As Maya began to speak, the crowd fell silent, their eyes fixed on the young girl. "When we first moved here, I was scared because some people didn't want us to be here. But then I met so many nice kids who wanted to be my friends. I learned that no matter our skin color or where we come from, we all want to play and have fun together." Tears welled in the corners of Lisa's eyes as she watched her daughter speak. In that moment, Maya embodied the innocence and wisdom that often escaped adults, the understanding that friendship knows no boundaries. Henry, still standing on the periphery, felt a lump rise in his throat. The realization hit him like a wave. He had been a part of the problem. He had allowed his prejudice to cloud his judgment and prevent him from seeing the beauty in diversity. Maya continued, her voice unwavering. "I believe that everyone should feel safe and loved, just like I do now. We can all be friends if we try. That's what my mom says." The crowd erupted into applause, but Henry stood still, his heart racing. For the first time, he felt a flicker of doubt about the beliefs that had shaped his identity for so long. Could he really continue to hold onto these prejudices when he witnessed the strength and unity of this community? As the event moved into its final segment, a talent show, Henry found himself drawn closer to the crowd. He began to mingle with families, awkwardly at first, trying to navigate the unfamiliar territory of connection. It was a stark contrast to the isolation he had maintained, and with each passing moment, he felt a pull toward the warmth of the community. When the final performance of the talent show took place, a group of children sang a beautiful rendition of "Lean on Me," their voices harmonizing in a way that filled the park with hope. In that moment, Henry's heart softened further. He could feel the walls he had built around himself beginning to crumble. As the song ended, the crowd cheered, and Lisa felt a wave of exhilaration wash over her. She had witnessed not just the triumph of the Johnsons, but also the transformation of a community. Yet, in the back of her mind, she couldn't shake the feeling that Henry still held onto some form of resentment. As the event began to wind down, Lisa noticed Henry standing alone, away from the crowd. Taking a deep breath, she approached him, heart racing. "Hey, Henry," she said, her tone inviting yet cautious. "I noticed you were here today. What do you think?" He looked at her, his expression unreadable. "Honestly, I was surprised by how much I felt different," he replied, his voice hesitant. "I didn't expect to see such a strong community come together like this." Lisa smiled gently, sensing the shift in his demeanor. "It's amazing what happens when people share their stories and support each other. We're all just trying to find our place, right?" Henry nodded slowly, his gaze dropping to the ground. "I guess I've been too focused on my own beliefs to see what was right in front of me. I didn't realize how much hurt my words could cause." The weight of his admission hung in the air between them. Lisa could see the flicker of remorse in his eyes, a glimmer of understanding breaking through the years of prejudice he had held onto. "I appreciate you saying that, Henry," she replied softly. "It takes a lot of courage to confront our beliefs and consider other perspectives. We can all learn from each other, no matter our past." In that moment, something shifted in Henry. He felt a glimmer of hope that perhaps he could change, could evolve beyond the confines of his past actions. "Maybe I can be a part of this community," he said quietly, his voice barely above a whisper. "I want to understand. I want to do better." Lisa's heart swelled with cautious optimism. "You're welcome here, Henry. It's never too late to change, and we're all learning together." As they stood in the fading sunlight, the echoes of laughter and music floated around them, reminding Henry of the joy that filled the park that day. He realized that if he wanted to truly belong, he would have to embrace not just the differences of others, but also the strength that lay in unity. In that moment, the Johnsons had not only organized an event that showcased the power of community, but also sparked a turning point for a neighbor who had once been a source of division. Henry felt the walls he had built around himself beginning to crumble, replaced by the warmth of acceptance and a renewed understanding of what it meant to be part of a community. As the stars began to twinkle above, the Johnson family and their neighbors embraced the potential for change that lay ahead. Together, they had created a moment that would not only resonate within their community, but also ripple outward, a testament to the power of courage, understanding, and the unwavering belief that love could conquer hate. The sun dipped below the horizon, painting the sky in hues of orange and pink, casting a serene glow over the park. The community event was winding down, laughter and cheerful chatter gradually giving way to the soothing sounds of nature. The Johnson family stood together, basking in the afterglow of their successful gathering, yet a sense of uncertainty lingered in the air. Would the transformation they had witnessed hold? As the last of the chairs were being packed away, Lisa glanced around the park, her heart swelling with pride for what they had accomplished. People mingled freely, exchanging numbers and making plans for future gatherings. But in the distance, she spotted Henry Thompson, still standing on the edge of the crowd, looking lost in thought. "Do you think he's going to come over?" Maya asked, her innocent voice cutting through Lisa's musings. "I don't know, sweetheart," Lisa replied, her gaze fixed on Henry. "But I hope he does. Change doesn't happen overnight, but sometimes all it takes is one moment to open a door." Just as those words left her lips, Henry took a hesitant step forward, his hands stuffed deep into his pockets. The confidence he had shown earlier seemed to evaporate, replaced by a sense of vulnerability. He approached the Johnson family slowly, as if each step was weighted by the gravity of his past actions. "Excuse me," he said, his voice barely above a whisper. The family turned to face him, a mixture of curiosity and caution filling the space between them. "Hi, Henry," Lisa said, her tone encouraging. "Thanks for coming to the event today." Henry cleared his throat, visibly uncomfortable. "I wanted to talk to you guys about something important." Maya took a small step back, her eyes wide with curiosity, while Lisa and her husband, James, exchanged glances. This was the moment they had hoped for, the opportunity to confront the tension that had lingered between them. "Of course," Lisa replied, her heart racing. "We're listening." Henry took a deep breath, his brow furrowing as he searched for the right words. "I've been thinking a lot since the event, watching everyone share their stories. It made me realize how wrong I was to judge you without understanding your experiences. I didn't know your journey, and I allowed my prejudices to cloud my judgment." Lisa nodded, feeling a mixture of surprise and hope. "It takes a lot of courage to admit that, Henry. We all have our biases, but it's how we choose to confront them that matters." Henry shifted his weight, glancing at Maya, who stood quietly beside her mother, absorbing the exchange. "I've lived in this neighborhood for years, but I've never really made an effort to get to know my neighbors. I let fear dictate my interactions, and for that, I'm truly sorry." "Thank you for saying that," James said, his voice steady. "It's not easy to confront our mistakes, especially when they've hurt others. We appreciate your honesty." As they spoke, Maya watched intently, her young mind grappling with the complexities of adult emotions. She felt an instinctual need to bridge the gap between them, to transform this moment of vulnerability into something meaningful. "Mr. Thompson," she said softly, her voice breaking through the tension, "can we be friends? It's not fun to be alone. I think everyone deserves a chance to play together." Henry looked down at the little girl, a mixture of surprise and admiration flickering in his eyes. The innocence in her plea struck a chord deep within him. In that moment, he realized that it was not just about him changing, but also about embracing the connection they could build together as neighbors. "Absolutely, Maya," he replied, kneeling down to her level. "I'd like that very much. I'd love to learn more about you and your family." A smile broke out across Maya's face, illuminating the conversation with a spark of hope. "We can have a picnic sometime. We could bring sandwiches and play games," she suggested, her enthusiasm infectious. Henry chuckled softly, a warmth spreading in his chest. "I'd like that. I'd really like that." Turning back to Lisa and James, Henry felt the heaviness of his past actions lifting. "I know it's going to take time for you all to trust me. I don't expect forgiveness right away, but I genuinely want to understand your perspective. I want to learn and grow from this." Lisa felt her heart swell at his sincerity. "That's all we can ask for, Henry. It's a journey for all of us, and it starts with conversations like this. If you're open to it, we'd love to share our experiences and hear yours too." Henry nodded, his expression earnest. "I'd appreciate that. I want to change, but I know I can't do it alone." The atmosphere around them shifted, an invisible bond forming as they engaged in this candid dialogue. Lisa felt the stirrings of hope. They were not just bridging the gap between neighbors, but beginning to build a community grounded in understanding and compassion. As they continued to talk, sharing snippets of their lives, Maya bounced back and forth between the adults, her laughter breaking any remaining tension. This innocent joy reminded Henry of the simple pleasures of childhood, something he had lost sight of amid his rigid beliefs. Over the next hour, the conversation flowed seamlessly, filled with stories, laughter, and moments of shared humanity. Henry spoke of his upbringing, revealing how fear had dictated his interactions with others. Lisa and James shared their experiences of moving into the neighborhood, the challenges they faced, and the dreams they had for their family. "I remember the first time we came here," Lisa said, her eyes glimmering with nostalgia. "We fell in love with the community spirit, the parks, and the warmth of the people. But it was disheartening to encounter that negativity. We wanted to feel like we belonged. Henry's expression softened as he listened. I can't imagine how hard that must have been for you and your family. I regret not making you feel welcome from the start. And we hope to work together to make our community better, James added. We can't change the past, but we can shape our future by standing together. As the sky darkened and stars began to twinkle overhead, a sense of camaraderie enveloped the three of them. They stood together in a newfound bond, recognizing that understanding and healing could only come through open dialogue and a willingness to change. Thank you for being open with me, Henry said, looking at the Johnsons with genuine gratitude. I'm committed to learning and making amends. If there's ever anything I can do to help, please let me know. Lisa smiled warmly, her heart swelling with the promise of what could be. We'll hold you to that, Henry. Together, we can create a neighborhood where everyone feels accepted and valued. As the night wore on, the Johnson family and Henry Thompson shared stories under the stars, paving the way for healing and understanding. It was a significant moment in their journey, a moment that marked the beginning of a profound change, not just for Henry, but for the entire community. They had embarked on a path toward reconciliation, one where vulnerability and dialogue opened the door to healing and connection. It was a reminder that even the deepest divides could be bridged when individuals were willing to confront their biases and seek understanding. And in the heart of that community park, the seeds of change were sown, nurtured by the hope that together, they could create a brighter, more inclusive future. Here's the section focusing on resolution and hope in a change of heart. One family's fight against discrimination. As the weeks turned into months, the once quiet neighborhood began to flourish with the energy of change. The Johnson family, along with their newly transformed neighbor, Henry Thompson, took to heart the idea that community could only thrive when everyone felt included and valued. It wasn't just about overcoming the past. It was about building a future that embraced diversity and fostered unity. The Johnsons had organized a series of community initiatives designed to bring people together. They launched a Neighborhood Unity Day, where families from all backgrounds were invited to share food, stories, and cultures. They transformed the local park into a vibrant festival ground, filled with music, laughter, and the delicious aromas of a potluck where every dish told a story. Lisa and James worked tirelessly, planning activities for kids and adults alike. Maya's innocent enthusiasm helped rally her friends, who eagerly joined in to create colorful decorations and set up booths. Henry, now a familiar face, became an integral part of the planning committee, his previous reservations replaced with an eagerness to engage. Let's showcase what makes us unique, Maya suggested one afternoon as they brainstormed. We can have a dance-off, cooking contests, and even a storytelling corner. Her ideas were met with applause, and soon the event was taking shape. The excitement in the air was palpable as neighbors rallied to support the initiative. Flyers were posted, announcements were made, and conversations buzzed about the upcoming celebration. But it wasn't just about the festival. It was about the underlying message they were promoting, that every voice mattered, every story was important, and everyone was welcome. They wanted the event to symbolize a new beginning, a fresh chapter for the community. On the day of the event, the park was alive with activity. Colorful banners waved in the gentle breeze, and tables filled with dishes from around the world lined the park pathways. The sound of laughter echoed as families gathered, chatting and sharing, united in their commitment to embrace diversity. As the festivities unfolded, Lisa noticed Henry speaking to a group of neighbors who had once held biases against the Johnsons. He shared his journey, the lessons he had learned, and the importance of understanding and accepting one another. I used to think that my way of life was the only way, Henry told them, his voice steady and clear. But I've come to realize that we're all woven into this community tapestry. Every thread counts, and together we can create something beautiful. The group nodded, some visibly moved by his sincerity. Lisa felt a warmth spread in her chest as she watched Henry grow, not just as a neighbor, but as a leader in the community. His commitment to change inspired others to reflect on their own biases, opening dialogues that had once seemed impossible. As the sun began to set, casting a golden hue over the park, Lisa stood with her family, taking in the scene around them. People of different backgrounds laughed together. Children played without a care in the world. And for the first time, she felt a deep sense of belonging. "Look at everyone, Mom," Maya exclaimed, her eyes sparkling with excitement. "This is amazing. They're all having fun together." "Yes, sweetheart," Lisa replied, her heart swelling with pride. "This is what we dreamed of. A community where everyone feels at home." As the night wore on, a sense of hope and renewal filled the air. The community came together for a group photo, capturing the moment that symbolized their journey from division to unity. Everyone stood arm in arm, smiles wide and hearts open, a visual representation of the progress they had made. In the weeks that followed, the Johnsons and Henry continued their collaboration. They organized workshops focusing on cultural exchange, where residents shared their traditions and experiences. They invited guest speakers who spoke on issues of discrimination and the importance of allyship. The initiative became a powerful platform for raising awareness and fostering understanding. Henry also took on a mentorship role, particularly for the younger generation. He volunteered at the local youth center, engaging with kids who faced their own challenges related to discrimination. His transformation inspired many, proving that change was not only possible but necessary. As the community thrived, Lisa received messages from neighbors expressing their gratitude for the initiatives. People shared how their perspectives had shifted and how the events had opened their eyes to the richness of diversity. One evening, as the Johnson family sat together reflecting on their journey, Lisa turned to James, her heart filled with gratitude. "Can you believe how far we've come?" she asked, her voice soft yet filled with wonder. "It's incredible," James replied, his eyes shining with pride. "We didn't just change a few minds, we changed hearts." Our story became a beacon of hope, showing that love and understanding can conquer fear and prejudice. Maya chimed in, her youthful exuberance illuminating the room. "And we're not done yet. We can keep doing more fun things and helping people understand each other." Her enthusiasm was infectious, and Lisa felt a renewed sense of purpose wash over her. They had started a movement, one that would ripple through the community for generations to come. In that moment, they realized that their story was not just about overcoming discrimination. It was about the relationships they built, the connections they fostered, and the hope they inspired in others. They had shown that change begins with one small act, a willingness to listen, to learn, and to open one's heart. As the stars twinkled overhead, the Johnson family knew they had made a lasting impact. Together with their neighbors, they were paving the way for a brighter future, one where diversity was celebrated and every voice was heard. Their journey was far from over, but they had forged a path filled with promise, a testament to the power of unity in the face of adversity. As the Johnson family stands united, celebrating their triumph over adversity, it's a powerful reminder that change begins with us. If this story resonated with you, we invite you to join the movement for unity and inclusivity. Like this video to show your support for families standing up against discrimination. Share your thoughts in the comments. We want to hear your stories of resilience and hope. And don't forget to subscribe to our channel for more inspiring tales that uplift and empower. Together, we can create a brighter future, one story at a time.